I'm live. Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome back to another video. Today is day 71 of the plan. I'll be reading First Samuel chapters 14 through 17. And so, yeah, starting out chapter 14. Absalom restored to David. Joab's son of Zeruiah realized that the king's mind was on Absalom. So Joab sent someone to Tekoa to bring wise women from there. Told her, pretend to be in mourning. Dress in mourning clothes and don't put on any oil. Act like a woman who has been mourning for her dead for a long time. Go and speak these exact words to him. Then Joab told her exactly what to say. When the woman from Tekoa came to the king, she fell face down to the ground, paid homage, and said, "Help me, your majesty." "What is the matter?" the king asked her. "Sadly, I'm a widow. My husband died," she said. "Your servant has two sons. They were fighting in the field with no one to separate them, and one struck the other and killed him. Now the whole clan has risen up against your servant and said, 'Hand over the one who killed his brother, so we put him to death for life of the brother murdered.' We'll eliminate that error. It would, it would extinguish one remaining ember, not not preserving my husband's name or posterity on earth." King told the woman, "Go home, I'll issue command on your behalf." Then the woman Tekoa said to the king, "My lord the king, may any blame be on me and my father's family, and may king and stone be innocent. Whoever speaks to you," the king said, "bring him to me, and he will not trouble you again." She replied, "Please may the king invoke the Lord your God, so the venture of blood will not increase the loss. They will not eliminate my son. As the Lord who lives, he vowed not hair of your sons will fall to the ground." The woman said, "Please may your servant speak a word to my lord the king." "Speak," he said. The woman asked, "Why have you devised something similar against the people of God?" When the king spoke about this matter, he had pronounced his own guilt. "The king has not bragged about his own banished one. We will certainly die and can't water pour on the ground, which can't be recovered. But God will not take away his life. But he devised plans so that the one banished from him does not remain banished. Now therefore I come out to present this matter to my lord the king, because the people had made me afraid. Your servant thought, I must speak to the king. Perhaps the king will grant his servant's request. The king will surely listen in order to keep his servant from the grasp of the man who will eliminate both me and my son from God's inheritance." Your servant thought, "May the word of the Lord bring relief, for the Lord the king is able to discern the good and the bad like the angel of God. May the Lord your God be with you." Then the king answered the woman, "I'm going to ask you something. Don't conceal it from me." "Will my lord the king speak?" the woman replied. The king asked, "Did Joab put you up to all this?" The woman answered, "As you will, my lord, no one can turn the right or left from all the Lord king says. Yes, your servant Joab is the one who gave orders to me. He told your servant exactly what to say. Joab, your servant, has done this to address the issue indirectly. But my lord has wisdom like the wisdom of the angel of God, knowing everything on earth." Then the king said to Joab, "I hereby grant this request. Go bring back the young man Absalom." Joab fell his face to the ground in homage and blessed the king. Today Joab said, "Your servant knows I have found favor with you, my lord the king, because the king has granted the request of your servant." So Joab got up, went to Geshur, and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. However, the king added, "May he return to his house, but he may not see my face." So Absalom returned to his house, but he did not see the king. No man in all Israel is as handsome and highly praised as Absalom. From the sole of his foot to the top of his head, he did not have a single flaw. He shaved his head, he shaved it at the end of every year because his hair got so heavy for him that he had to shave it off. He laid his hair from his head and it would be 5 pounds according to a royal standard. 3 sons were born to Absalom and a daughter named Tamar, who was beautiful woman. Absalom resided in Jerusalem 2 years but never saw a king. Then Absalom sent for Joab in order to send him to the king. Joab was unwilling to come to him, so he sent again. A second time he was still not come. Then Absalom said to his servants, "See, Joab has a field to the right of mine, and he has barley there. Go and set fire to it." So Absalom's servants set fire set the field on fire. Then Joab came to Absalom's house and demanded, "Why did your servants set my field on fire?" "Look," Absalom explained to Joab, I sent for you and said, Come here, I want to send you to the king and ask, Why have I come back from Geshur? I'm better off if I'm still there. So now let me see the king. If I'm guilty, let him kill me. Joab went to the king and told him, It's David's son Absalom, who came to the king and paid homage with his face to the ground before them. And the king kissed Absalom. Chapter 15. On fourth way there, Absalom's revolt. After this, Absalom got himself a chariot, horses, and 50 men to run before him. He'd get up early and stand beside the road leading to the city gate. When everyone had a grievance to bring before the king for settlement, Absalom called out to him and asked, What city are you from? If he replied, Your servants from one of the tribes of Israel, Absalom said to him, Look, your claims are good and right, but the king does not have anyone to listen to you. He added, If someone would appoint me judge in the land, then anyone who has a grievance or dispute can come to me, and I can make sure he receive justice. When a person approached to pay homage to him, Absalom reached out his hand, took hold of him, and kissed him. Absalom did this to all the Israelites who came to the king for a settlement. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. When 4 years passed, Absalom said to the king, Please let me go to Hebron to fulfill a vow I made to the Lord. For a servant made a vow, and I lived in Geshur of Aram, saying, If the Lord really brings me back to Jerusalem, I will worship the Lord in Hebron. Go in peace, the king said to him, so he went to Hebron. Then Absalom sent agents throughout the tribes of Israel with this message. When you hear the sound of the ram's horn, you are to say, Absalom has become king in Hebron. 200 men from Jerusalem went with Absalom. They had been invited and were going instantly, for they did not know the whole situation. While he was offering sacrifices, Absalom sent for David's advisor, Ahithophel, the Gilonite, from the city of Gala. So the conspiracy grew strong. People supported Absalom continued to increase. Then an informer came to David and reported, The hearts of the men of Israel are with Absalom. David said to all the servants with him in Jerusalem, Get up, we have to flee, or we will not escape from Absalom. We quickly overtake us quickly. Help us disappear on us, and strike the city with the edge of the sword. The king servants said to the king, Wherever my lord the king decides, we are your servants. Then the king set out, and the entire household followed him. But he left behind 10 concubines to take care of the palace. The king set out, and all the people followed him. They stopped at the last house, while all the servants marched past him. Then the Cherethites, the Pelethites, and the people of Gath, 600 men came with them from there. Marched past the king. Then the king said to Ittai of Gath, Why are you also going with us? Go back and stay at the new king, since you're about to foreigner and exile from your homeland. Besides, you only arrived yesterday. Should I make you wander around with us today while I go wherever I can? Go back and take your brothers with you. May the Lord show you kindness and faithfulness. But in response, Ittai vowed to the king, As the Lord lives, and as my lord the king lives, wherever my lord the king is, whatever it means, life or death, your servant will be there. Marched on, and David replied to Ittai. So Ittai of Gath marched past all his men and the dependents of who were with him. Everyone in the countryside was sleeping loudly, while all the people were marching out of the city. As he came across the Kidron Valley, all the people marched past the road that leads to the wilderness. Zadok was also there, and all the Levites with him, carrying the Ark of the Covenant of God. Set the Ark God down, and Abiathar offered sacrifices until the people had finished marching past. Then the king instructed Zadok, Return the Ark to the city. If I find favor with the Lord, he will bring me back and allow me to see both its dwelling places. However, if he should say, I do not delight in you, then here I am, he can do with me whatever he pleases him. Look, return to the city in peace, your 2 sons with you, your son Ahimaaz and Abiathar's son Jonathan. Remember, I'll wait at the fords of the wilderness until word comes from you to inform me. So Zadok and Abiathar returned the Ark of God to Jerusalem and stayed there. David was climbing the slope of the Mount of Olives, weeping as he ascended. His head was covered, and he walked barefoot. All the people were with him, and their heads went up, weeping as they ascended. Then someone reported to David that I was among the conspirators with Absalom. Lord, David pleaded, Please turn the counsel of if it hot the people into foolishness. They came to the summit where he used to worship God. Hushai the archer was there to meet with him with his robe turned on his head. David said to him, "If you go away with me, you will be a burden to me. But if you return to the city and tell Absalom, I'll be your servant, your majesty. Previously I was your father's servant, now I'll be your servant. Then you can counteract Athal's counsel for me. Won't the priest Sadok and Abiathar be there with you? Report everything you hear from the palace of priests Sadok and Abiathar. Take note, their two sons are there with them. Sadok sent Ahimaaz and Abiathar's son Jonathan. Send them to tell me everything you hear." So Hushai, David's personal advisor, entered the Jerusalem just as Absalom was entering the city. Chapter 16. Ziba helps David. When David had gone a little bit beyond the summit, Ziba, Mephibosheth's servant, was right there to meet him. He had a pair of saddle donkeys loaded up. I think I said this chapter 16, so that's halfway through. 100 clusters of raisins, 100 branches of summit fruits, and a clay jar of wine. The king said to Ziba, "Why do you have these?" Ziba answered, "The donkeys are for the king's household to ride. The bread and the summer fruit are for the young men to eat, and the wine is for those to drink, because of exhausted wilderness." "Where is your master's grandson?" the king asked. "Why, he's staying in Jerusalem," Ziba replied to the king, "for he said, today the house of Israel will restore my grandfather's kingdom to me." The king said to Ziba, "All that belongs to Mephibosheth is now yours." "I bow before you," Ziba said. "May I find favor with you, my lord the king." Shimei curses David. When King David got to Bahurim, a man belonging to the family of the household of Saul was coming out. His name was Shimei, son of Gera, and he was yelling curses as he approached. He threw stones at David and all the royal servants, and people, warriors on David's right and left. Shimei said as he cursed, get out, the man of bloodshed, you looking man. The Lord has paid you back for all the blood of the house of Saul, and who you became king, and the Lord has handed the kingdom over to you, over to your son Absalom. Look, you're in trouble because you're a man of bloodshed." Then Abishai, son of Zeruiah, said to the king, "Why should this dead dog curse my lord, the king? Let me go over and remove his head." The king replied, "Sons of Zeruiah, do we agree on anything? He curses me today. He cursed me. He cursed me this way because the Lord told him, curse David. Therefore, who can say, why did you do that?" Then David said to Hushai and all his servants, "Look, my own son, my own flesh and blood, intends to take my life. How much more now this Benjamite? Leave him alone and let him curse me. The Lord has told him to. Perhaps the Lord will see my affliction and restore goodness to me instead of my curse dead." So David and his men proceeded along the road at Shemaiah, as going along the ridge to the hill opposite of him. As Shemaiah went, he cursed David, threw stones at him, and kicked up dust. Finally, the king and the people with him arrived, exhausted, so they rested there. Absalom's advisors. Now Absalom was there, and all the Israelites came to Jerusalem. Ahithophel was also with them. David's friend, Hushai the archer, came to Absalom. Hushai said to Absalom, "Long live the king! Long live the king!" Is this your loyalty to your friend?" Absalom asked Hushai. "Why didn't you go with your friend?" "Not all," Hushai answered Absalom. "I am on the side of the one that the Lord, this people, all the people of Israel chosen. I will stay with them. Furthermore, whom will I serve is not this son. As I served your father's presence, I'll also serve yours." Then Absalom said to Ahithophel, "Give me your advice. What should I do?" And Ahithophel replied to Absalom, "Sleep your father's concubine whom you left to take care of the palace. All Israel hears that you become repulsive to your father. Everyone with you will be encouraged." So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the roof and slept with all his father's concubines inside of Israel. Now the advice Ahithophel gave in those days was like someone asking a word from God. Such was the regard that both David and Absalom had for Ahithophel's advice. Chapter 17, the final chapter. Ahithophel said to Absalom, "Let me choose 12,000 men, and I'll set them out in pursuit of David tonight. I'll attack him while he's weary and discouraged. throw into a panic, and all the people with them will scatter. I will strike down only the king and bring the people back to you. When everyone returns except the man you're looking for, all the people will be at peace. This proposal seemed right to Absalom and the elders of Israel. Then Absalom said, summon Hushai the Archite also. Let's hear what he says as well. So Hushai came to Absalom, and Absalom told him, Ahithophel offered this proposal. Shall we carry out his proposal? If not, what will you say? Hushai said to Absalom, last that Ahithophel was given this time is not good. Hushai continued, know your father and his men. They are warriors and desperate like a wild bear rode to her cubs. Your father is an expert soldier who wants to spend the night with the people. He's probably already hiding in one of the caves or some other place. If our troops fall, first someone is sure to hear and say, there's been a slaughter among the people and follow Absalom. Then even a brave man with the heart of a lion will lose heart, because all Israel knows that your father, valiant men with them, are warriors. Instead, I advise all of Israel, from Dan to Beersheba, as numerous as the sand by the sea, to gather it to you, and that you personally go into battle. Then, when he attack David wherever you find him, he will descend on him like dew on the ground. Not even one will be left. Neither he nor all the men with them. If he retreats to some of the city, all Israel will bring robes up to the city, and we will drag its stones into the valley until not even a pebble can be found there. Since the Lord has decreed that Ahithophel's good advice be undetermined in order to bring about Absalom's ruin. Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the advice of Hushai the Archite is better than Ahithophel's advice. David informed Absalom's plans. Hushai then told the priests Zadok and Abiathar, this is what Ahithophel advised Absalom and the elders of Israel. Then this is what I said. I advised, and I said until cooking, tell David, don't spend the night at the wilderness ford. Be sure to cross over Jordan, for the king and all the people with him will be devoured. Jonathan and Ahimaaz were staying in Rogel with a servant girl, and they come pass along information to him. They in turn would go and inform King David, because they dared not to be seen in city. However, a young man did see them and informed Absalom. So two left quickly and came into the house of a man of Bahurim. He had a well in his courtyard, and he climbed down into it. When his wife took a cover, placed it over the mouth of the well, and scattered grain on it so nobody would know anything. Absalom's servants came to the woman in the house and asked, where's Ahimaaz and Jonathan? They passed toward the water. The woman replied to them, the men searched but did not find them, so they returned to Jerusalem. After they had gone, Ahimaaz and Jonathan climbed out of the well and went up and informed King David. They told him, get up immediately and ford the river. So Ahithophel had given his advice for you. So David and all his people got up and crossed the Jordan. By daybreak there was no one who had not crossed Jordan. When Ahithophel realized his advice had not been followed, he saddled his donkey and set out for his house in the hometown. He set his house in order to and hanged himself. So he died and was buried in his father's tomb. David had arrived at Mahanaim by the time Absalom crossed Jordan with other men of Israel. And Absalom had appointed Amasa over the army in Joab's place. Amasa was the son of a man named Ithra. Israel. Ithra had married Abigail, daughter of Nahash. Abigail was sister to Sarai, Joab's mother, and Israel was Absalom's camps in the land of Gilead. When David came to Hanam, Shalab son of Nahash from Rabbah of the Ammonites, Mashir son of Miel from Lo-Debar, and Barzillai the Gileadite from Rogelim, brought beds, basins, and pottery items. They also brought wheat, barley, flour, roasted grain, beans, lentils, honey curd, sheep, goats, and cheese. And the herd of David and the people with them to eat. The reasons people must be hungry, exhausted, and thirsty in the wilderness. That is all the reading for today. Bit of a longer day, but anyways, starts out chapter 13, now 14, talking about how Absalom got restored to David. But then Absalom kind of like let it revolt. He became like the head place. And so Ziba helps David. And then eventually a guy named Shimei keeps on cursing him. And so David kind of like reasons with that. I guess it's kind of weird. And then Absalom has some advisors. And so Absalom advises him. But then let me see something. But then Hushai actually said something else, and they followed him instead. And so, but David was informed of Absalom's plans, and he got ready. And then at Thishar, he hung himself. Kind of weird, yes. But yeah, I have one thing in my Bible. I was bookmarking reading it quick. But anyways, that is all for today. So we've had a great day so far. Have a great rest of your day. Remember, God loves you. Goodbye.